You can kill a caveman in their sleep in Spelunky 2. That's just the kind of game it is, ultra violent. At the time of writing, I've died nearly 400 times, which is not very many times to die in a Spelunky game. I'm just getting started. Everything can be going right in Spelunky 2. You can be carefully setting off arrow traps, you can have a shotgun, you can have plenty of bombs and ropes, and then a deluge of very unfortunate shit will annihilate you quicker than you can say eggplant run. If you've played the original game, you already know all of this. Spelunky 2 is better and more. There are more worlds, more secrets, interlocking paths, you can ride axolots and rock dogs, and the causes of death have at least tripled. It's a roguelike platformer loaded with lethal interlocking threats with a whimsical veneer you should not let fool you. This is the kind of sequel that risks making its predecessor redundant. Certain worlds return from the original in a slightly changed form, such as the jungles, the ice caverns, and the caves. An angered shopkeeper is still a pain in the ass, albeit slightly easier to rob, and now he has competitors vying for your gold. There's a walrus with a dice game and a bodyguard, there's Toon with her challenge rooms, and cavemen have evolved enough that they'll now try to sell you useless crap like skulls, God love them. There are more NPCs and more side quests, such as the guy in Dwelling who wants you to rescue turkeys. And for a while, you'll probably vigilantly ignore all of these distractions, focusing instead on unlocking shortcuts, before realizing it's best to ignore shortcuts on your path to finishing the game. The critical path starts in Dwelling and culminates in a mini-boss before branching off into 2 possible second worlds. The game is front-loaded with overly familiar areas, but it reserves its most resplendent and surprising locations for players who have the patience to surmount those initial challenges. It's fair to be concerned that Spelunky 2 is a bloated version of a near-perfect formula. All features heavily marketed pre-launch, like layered worlds and branching paths, aren't nearly as complicated as they could have been. No one's going to get lost in Spelunky 2. Some of the levels are much larger than before, but the general Spelunky rule still mostly applies. Go downward and find the exit. Still, only the really dedicated are going to finish this game. The new opening world is preparation for this truth. It's harder than the 2 following areas, adding some truly nasty bastards like the burrowing cave mole and the barrel-rolling horned lizard. The fact that Spelunky 2 will be incompletable for all but the most determined and patient is utterly beside the point though, because Spelunky 2 is another comedic, beautifully tactile anecdote generator. After nearly 40 hours of play, I'm still discovering new world states, just as I'm still falling afoul of those damned purple bats. Other modern action roguelikes are similarly joyous on a base tactile level, but none really begin to rival Spelunky 2 when it comes to the sheer scale of the thing. It's true that you can play a dozen consecutive runs without encountering anything of particular note, but then you'll enter the jungle and there will be goddamn vampires in it, or Volcania will have a weird industrial production line, or you'll find a rideable fish that can teleport you, or you'll accidentally let a boss crush through another layer of its layer, unearthing a whole new world. But what excites me most about Spelunky 2 is all the stuff challenge runners and secret finders are going to do. The new world is as riddled with telltale signs of secrets undiscovered as it is by amusing new ways to die. It's lousy with reasons to diverge from the critical path, and forsaking a promising run in order to experiment with a possible secret is usually too tempting to deny. What's that giant drill in Volcania? Why is this guy giving me gold for free? How do I access the City of Gold? It's hard to make a call on whether Spelunky 2 is better than Spelunky. This sequel provides a clean slate for secret hunters and speedrunners, and it's a game designed as much to be spectated as it is to be played. It's less a sequel and more a 2.0, a place for newcomers to start that's also swollen with mysteries and feats for veterans to tackle. A part of me wonders what its creators could have done instead of make this sequel, which is effectively an iteration, but I'm not going to argue with more Spelunky. A truly ultra-violent game you can play with your kids, ridden with fathomless secrets, magical gift moments, and killable sleeping cavemen.